I know your type. You are smart, you're savvy, and you're probably an overachiever. You're the type of person who doesn't want to be bamboozled by Disney's super sneaky vacation costs. So let's outsmart these extra expenses together, y'all. I gotcha. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Paying for a Disney World vacation is no joke, and yet you still might feel like you're missing out on some sort of punchline when you start to see your vacation funds depleting way faster than you expected. Unfortunately, Disney isn't a stranger to hidden expenses, but the good news, we know all about them. So we've gathered the sneakiest added costs that we ourselves have been tripped up by during our past Disney World trips so that you don't have to suffer the same fate. Like I always say, we make the mistakes so you don't have to. Okay, hotel costs for extra adults. Nope, not extra adults as in adults that are more dramatic than others, though I definitely could see Disney charging more for that. I'm talking extra adults as in additional members staying in your Disney hotel room. When you're staying in a Disney World hotel, the standard room rate will automatically include the first two guests who are over the age of 18 years, as well as any guests under 18 years. So if you're only going to have one or two adults staying in your Disney room, you're not going to have to worry about the hidden extra expense I'm about to lay out for you. But if you are planning on having more than two adults crash in your Disney hotel room, that includes your 18 years plus kids, Disney will charge you extra for your room per night per additional adult. So if you got 3 adults or more in a room, expect to pay more for your stay overall. This cost will vary depending on the type of hotel you're staying in, value, moderate, deluxe. And while these prices are subject to change, currently it'll cost you an additional $15 per adult per night for a value resort room, $25 per adult per night for moderate, and an additional $35 per adult per night for a deluxe resort room. Quick example for you. Let's say you're booking a standard room at Disney's All-Star Movies for $221 per night. If you're a family of 2 adults and 2 kids, the price stands as is. But if you're a family of 3 adults, that additional adult will bring up the price of your room by an extra $15 per night, bringing your total cost to $236 instead. Now here's the loophole. If you're staying in a more spacious suite instead of a standard room, these extra fees won't apply to you. So if you're staying in, say, an All-Star Music family suite with 4 adults and a kiddo, you still won't have to worry about paying extra for those 2 additional adults in the room because that room sleeps more adults. Next up, the not-so-free Disney transportation. Okay, you know what we haven't talked about in a good long while? How to get from Orlando International Airport to the Disney World bubble. Spoiler alert, it costs you. Back in the days of yore, aka literally not even 5 years ago, Disney used to have complimentary transportation, Disney's Magical Express, that would take guests from MCO and to your Disney World resort for no extra charge. And life was great. But at the beginning of 2022, Disney retired this service and replaced it with a premium shuttle service that's now referred to as Mears Connect, driven by Sunshine. I know. Anyway, Mears Connect is a lot like the old Magical Express service. In fact, it is the old Magical Express service, just you have to pay for it now. While it still provides the same transportation to and from the airport and eligible hotels just like Magical Express did, it now has, quote, enhanced booking capabilities, guaranteed 24/7 service, greater operational efficiencies, and as the website puts it, a hassle-free experience, unquote. Here's to hoping that's true for you. Mears Connect tends to switch up their prices on occasion, but per the release of this video, a round trip is going to cost you $32 per adult and $26 per kid for the standard service. So for a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 kids, you're looking at an additional cost of $116 just to leave and get back to the airport again. Some folks choose instead to book a rideshare like an Uber or Lyft to and from the airport, which could be a cheaper option but isn't a guaranteed cheaper option, especially if you're trying to travel around those peak times of the day, like during lunch breaks or rush hour, which will more than likely raise the prices of a rideshare service by quite a bit. But recently we learned about a brand new way to get you over to Disney from the Orlando airport that'll only cost you $2. Yep, it'll only cost you 2 buccarinos. Friends, I'd like you to meet the newest Lynx route called Link 311, which now serves Disney World via Disney Springs. This is a local bus. It comes every 30 minutes each day from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. to pick up guests from the Orlando airport and take you over to the Disney Springs area for only $2. I know what you're thinking. What's the catch, right? And that's what we were wondering too, which is why some of our DFB reporters went out to the scene to test this new Lynx service themselves. Overall, our reporters were pleasantly surprised. It seems these shuttles have plenty of seats and standing room, yet are also wheelchair accessible. But the biggest issue here that we came across was what happens once you get to Disney Springs with all your luggage in tow. Normally, you can transfer to a Disney Springs bus to make it the rest of the way to your Disney hotel. But luggage is not allowed on board the Disney World buses that'll take you over to your hotel, meaning you'll still need to snag a Lyft or an Uber from the Disney Springs area if you've brought a lot of luggage with you. That being said, the Lynx bus is still a solid, more affordable option if you're just visiting Disney World for the weekend and are only traveling with a small bag or backpack. And even if you take the Lynx bus to Disney Springs and still do an Uber to your hotel, it's going to be a cheaper Uber than it would have been if you went all the way from the airport. Okay, talking about the ticket add-ons next. The moment you log into the Disney World website to purchase your Disney park tickets, you're going to be greeted with a base ticket price, $109 per person. Simple enough, right? Only it's not that simple. There's actually a lot of factors that could change that initial ticket price point, and most of those factors will change your tickets to be a higher price than you might have been expecting. So let's walk through the ticket checkout process via the Disney World website together so I can paint a clear picture of what you can expect to run into. Page 1 is where you're going to see that standard ticket price that I just mentioned, where one ticket per day for guests 10 and older start at $109. This leads you to page 2, which is where those extra costs are going to start popping up. Depending on what time of the year you're traveling and how many days you want to be in the parks, you'll find different prices and costs for your park tickets. While non-peak travel times, like around back to school season, will offer lower price tickets, peak travel times, like around major holidays, will spike those ticket prices way higher than that initial $109 you saw on page 1. Also, according to Disney math, the more days you spend in the Disney parks, the cheaper your tickets will be. So, for instance, if I want to take a Disney World vacation in the month of October in 2024, a 2-day ticket price for me is going to range around $115 to $151 per day. But a 5-day ticket price during the same month and year is going to range around $105 to $126 per day. As Disney likes to say, the more you play, the less you pay per day. So after I determine what days I want to visit the parks, Disney's going to ask me what park ticket type I actually want for my trip. While the normal 1 park per day ticket won't cost me anything more than what I'm already paying, I'll also have extra options I can choose from, which include Park Hopper Plus, or even water park and sports add-ons. Depending on what you choose, as well as time of year, again, because flux prices are kind of Disney's thing now, one of these extras will be a starting price of $65 per day per ticket. Again, that's the minimum extra price point we're talking about here. But if you don't want to go to a water park and you don't feel like you need to park hop during your trip, which means going from park to park to park on the same day, you can skip these extra expenses. After you choose one of these ticket types and you add how many adults and children you'll be purchasing tickets for, you'll be led to page 3. Look, we made it, which gives you another add-on opportunity for the Memory Maker package. Memory Maker allows you to download all the Disney PhotoPass photos and videos taken from your vacation for one bundled price point, which is, get ready, an extra $185 on top of what you're already paying for tickets. Literally, I always skip this add-on because I never end up wanting all of my PhotoPass pictures in the end, and to pay for them individually is like $20 instead of almost $200. So yeah, get it if you want it, but don't feel like you have to get it if you want at least some of those pictures from your trip. You can still buy them individually, and it'll probably cost a lot less than $200 unless you're buying like 10 of them. Now, in the end, you've got a lot of additional stuff you have to sift through before you finally proceed to the main checkout page. But good news, you don't have to include all that additional stuff on your final bill if you don't want it. Not to mention, you can look over the whole Disney park ticket price calendar for the entire year to figure out which times you want to visit that'll be the cheapest options for you. Now, if you're looking for a free way to keep track of all your Disney World plans with no hidden fees in sight, we have got that for you. Scan the QR code you see on the screen now, or head to disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyPlans. You can download our free Disney World planning worksheets. These are going to help you organize not only your extra vacation expenses, but also your daily park itineraries, dining reservations, hotel information, and more. It's all going to be there for you, ready to access while you're on your trip, before your trip, after your trip. It's right there. Okay, what about the discounts that actually cost you more money? It's always a good idea to read the fine print on whatever you're purchasing for your Disney World vacation, or just for any vacation, anything you buy, read the fine print. But even Disney's discounts could come with a rather pricey catch. Let's throw the free Disney dining package promo under the bus this time. Hypothetical situation for you. Let's say you and your friends are going to book a Disney World trip together. You found an affordable and reliable Airbnb nearby. You've decided to book those 1 park per day tickets to skip the extra park hopper expense. And you're just going to go for like a quick weekend getaway to help cut down on costs. But then, just to see if you can shave down the price of your trip even further, you check out Disney's special offers, deals, and discounts page on their website, which you should do. Good for you. But what is this? A free dining plan that'll pay for all your meals inside the park. Of course you're going to want that. All your food for free. For this current limited time free dining plan deal going on, you gotta be a Disney Visa card holder, and maybe you are already, so you've got nothing to worry about there. But in order to use this free dining plan, you gotta book a non-discounted 4-night, 4-day stay vacation package, including park hopper tickets. So now the question is, will this free dining plan really save you money versus the plan you'd originally conjured up with your buddies? Because sure, you're getting free meals in the parks, but you're also going to have to pay more to stay at a Disney-owned hotel instead of your affordable Airbnb. You're going to have to tack on more days to your trip instead of just a couple days for a little weekend getaway. You're going to have to pay for more park tickets instead of just getting 2 for the parks you most want to prioritize. And you're going to have to get park hoppers instead of skipping that additional $65 per ticket per day cost. If the free Disney dining plan already works well with the specific variables of your upcoming trip, then that's one thing. But if it's actually going to force you to pay more in the end for your park tickets and lodging, then you may be better off skipping the free promotion and just paying for your meals out of pocket. After all, there are always ways you can save on your Disney meals, even if you're not using a free Disney dining plan. Now, I'm going to be honest, this kind of situation gets me every time, because if I'm planning a trip that's going to be, a low cost, staying off property, just a couple of days and no park hopper, so I'm only going to 2 parks instead of all 4 parks, and then Disney's like, hey, why don't you spend some extra money and then you can stay on property in a Disney hotel, you get all your food for free, and you get to go to all 4 parks. It's like, oh, twist my arm, right? Because of course I want to do all of that stuff. So just be aware that this is going to be really enticing to potentially shift your, cheap and easy trip to one that is suddenly way more expensive than what you wanted to pay for. Now, if that's cool with you and you're like, I can afford it. It's okay with the budget, and we're just going to go all out and have a great time and get the free dining plan. That's awesome. But just be aware that this is one of those little tactics that can definitely squeeze more money out of you than you were planning to spend. And you just kind of convince yourself it's cool because you wanted to do all that stuff anyway. We all do it. It happens all the time. That's why these deals work. So just heads up on that. All right, how about the stuff that doesn't come with your Disney dining plan? A common misconception about purchasing the Disney dining plan is that you're not going to have to pay for anything when it comes to your Disney World meals once you get there, but that's not entirely true. For example, the cost of gratuity is not included in the Disney dining plan. Although you're not paying cash for your meal, you should tip your server as if you were. When you're handed your bill at the end of the meal, there'll be an indication of what the cost had you been paying out of pocket. This is the amount that you should base your tip on. For example, if your meal costs $20, unlikely, but that's just an example, then you should tip approximately 18% or $3.60, or 20%, $4. Also, any additional menu enhancements that you might want to add onto your meal will also cost you extra. For example, let's say you're dining at Hollywood Brown Derby with your standard DDP table service credits. Dining at Hollywood Brown Derby will cost you 2 dining credits per guest, since this is Hollywood Studios' signature restaurant. These credits will cover 1 entree, 1 dessert, and 1 drink, alcoholic or non, with some restrictions. However, if I want to tack on one of those menu enhancements like the shrimp mac and cheese or the spoon bread, or if I simply want to get an appetizer for the table like the shrimp cocktail or escargot, these are items that are not included with my Disney Dining Plan credits, so I'm going to have to pay out of pocket for these at the end of my meal. Next is paying extra for more lightning lanes. Ever since Disney Genie Plus released back in 2021, folks have greatly felt the loss of those free fast passes in exchange for premium lightning lanes. But what can be extra upsetting for some guests is the fact that not even the initial Genie Plus price that you pay each day will give you access to all of the lightning lanes available at the parks you're visiting. Disney Genie Plus costs a starting price of $15 per person per day, with the potential to raise to $39 per person or higher depending on park demand. With this purchase, you'll be able to book Lightning Lane selections, which will allow you to skip over those uber long standby lines in exchange for much shorter waits. But Disney's most popular rides in each of the parks won't have the Lightning Lanes listed under the standard Genie Plus lineup. So if you're wanting to skip over the giant lines for hot ticket attractions like Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Epcot, Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom, Tron Light Cycle Run in Magic Kingdom, and probably Tiana's Bayou Adventure once it opens in Magic Kingdom, then you're going to have to pay even more for the privilege of skipping those long queues. So just to break it down for you, if you want to ride rides, free. Want to ride rides with lower waits? $15 to $39 per day per person. Want to ride super duper popular rides with lower waits? Best be ready to fork over even more money. Now, here's the good part of all this. I know, it's hard to find a good part, but here we go. You don't have to pay for both Lightning Lane services if you don't want both. It's not like it's cumulative. So if you're going to Animal Kingdom and you know you really aren't going to need Lightning Lanes for any other rides besides Flight of Passage, you can just pay for the individual Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage and skip the entire Genie Plus expense altogether. And if you know you want to accomplish as many Magic Kingdom rides as possible, but you're going to try to get a virtual queue for Tron instead of an individual Lightning Lane, then just stick to the regular Genie Plus purchase and skip that individual Lightning Lane. Or if you're going to be visiting during one of Disney's non-peak travel seasons and you figure you're really not going to need any Lightning Lanes at all, then you can skip the extra expense entirely and save your money for something else. So no-show fees are my arch nemesis because I forget about them all the time. Not when I'm recording videos, of course. I remember them very clearly then. But when I'm in the middle of my park day and I got this Lightning Lane to return to and this virtual queue to snag and this show to watch and this bus to catch, then suddenly my advanced dining reservations get buried by all my other plans for the day and I end up missing out on it entirely. For most Disney World table service restaurants, guests have until 2 hours before their reservation to cancel their reservation free of charge. And yes, you should take that cancellation policy pretty seriously. Guests that no-show for their dining reservations will be charged a fee of $10 per person. Those charges can add up quickly, especially if you're traveling with a large party, so be sure to plan your day around your dining reservations instead of leaving those ADRs as an afterthought. There are a few restaurants and experiences that do have different, much stricter cancellation policies, so let's go through the cancellation exceptions real quick here. For Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom, you must abide by the 2-hour cancellation rule or you'll have to pay for the full cost of the experience if you fail to show up. You'll also have to pay the full cost of your experience at Hoop-Dee-Doo Musical Review in Fort Wilderness, Sangria University at Coronado Springs, and any of the Magic Kingdom and Epcot fireworks parties if you fail to cancel your reservations in time. But instead of needing to cancel at least 2 hours before your ADR, you'll have to cancel a whole day in advance to avoid those harsh no-show fees. If you got a reservation for the La Cava experience in Epcot, you'll again need to cancel 24 hours before your ADR to avoid being charged a $50 no-show fee per person. And if you fail to make cancellations for those super swanky restaurants like Victoria and Albert's at Grand Floridian or Takumi Te and Monsieur Paul in Epcot, then you'll be charged $100 per person as a no-show fee. Gross. Each of those restaurants have a different cutoff time to avoid those extra no-show charges. Takumi Te wants you to make cancellations at least 2 days prior. Monsieur Paul wants you to make them 3 days prior, and Victoria and Albert's asks you to make them 5 days prior. Okay, we've got some good news here. Disney has strollers, ECVs, wheelchairs, and lockers that you can use during your park day. But the not so good news is that these extra rentals can add up quickly. Stroller rentals range in price between $13 and $31 per day. ECVs can cost you $65 per day. Wheelchairs will range from $10 to $12 per day, and locker rentals located at the front of each park, and there's some in the back of Animal Kingdom too by Kali River Rapids, range in price between $10 and $15 per day. Again, you may not need any of these services, but on the off chance that you do, let me try to help you cut down on those daily costs. When it comes to strollers, ECVs, and wheelchairs, you may want to turn to a reliable third-party rental company instead. Whether or not these strollers and ECVs will actually be cheaper or not all depends on where you're renting and what you're renting. But they can still be a more nifty option simply because you get to keep these strollers and ECVs for your whole trip instead of having to return them to the front of the park every time you leave. For all my stroller families out there, another good option for saving some money on a stroller if you're unable to bring your own from home is to buy a cheapy umbrella stroller from a grocery delivery service when you first get to your resort. Yep, turns out Instacart can deliver more than just snacks. Then, before you leave to head back to the airport, you can always pass that stroller on to another family who's just arriving for their vacation. Now, as far as locker rentals go, you may be able to avoid that expense entirely just with a little extra planning. Try holding off on big souvenir purchases until closer to the end of your park day so you don't have to store them and you can just carry them back to the hotel room with you. Also, consider bringing a larger backpack to tote around instead of a small purse or fanny pack. I'm not talking about a humongous backpack that's going to break your back, but one that's got plenty of space to store those extra items of yours, like snacks, an extra change of clothes, passies, sunscreen, etc. This one's on Amazon, and it can help you carry a lot of stuff around the parks with you while not eating into your shoulders the entire time. And then there's this duffel bag backpack that we also found online that legit has a compartment just for an extra pair of shoes. So what about all that unexpected stuff? Because it happens all the time. Your trusty pair of sandals has a strap that breaks. You get sunburned and desperately need something to soothe and moisturize your scalding skin. The weather suddenly experiences a cold snap and you're left shivering in your shorts and t-shirt. Whatever emergency situation arises during your trip, Disney's got a way to provide you with last-minute solutions. It's just going to cost you. Sure, you're in need of an extra pair of shoes or aloe vera or over-the-counter medication or even a jacket or pair of pants. You can always visit nearby stores like Target or Publix just minutes away from the Disney bubble, or you can order those items via a grocery delivery app to be sent straight to your hotel. However, if you don't have a whole lot of time for that extra trip to the store or you need those items ASAP instead of waiting for them to be delivered to your resort, Disney does have these last-minute necessities available for you to purchase on the fly. Disney clothes can pretty much be found across all of their main gift shops, but when it comes to necessities like sunscreen, painkillers, etc., you'll have to ask a cast member directly about buying those if you're at one of the main park gift shops, since they typically won't be out on display. The Disney Resort gift shops, on the other hand, should have most of their necessities out and available on the shelves for you to pick up all speedy-like. The downside, you're going to have to pay more for each of these items than you typically would if you were buying them outside the Disney bubble, because Disney knows you'll pay more for that convenience. Sneaky, right? Since these unexpected situations can and do happen, it's a good idea to factor in an unexpected costs section of your budget ahead of time. With that being said, there is a way to get last-minute over-the-counter meds from Disney World parks for free if you're truly in a pickle. Each of the Disney parks' first aid centers are stocked with free sample-size remedies for minor ailments like Tylenol, Band-Aid, sunburn relief, etc. This could help at least hold you over until you're able to leave the park and get a full-size remedy of whatever over-the-counter pain relief you're looking for at a much, much cheaper price point. And this fabulous one, the $100 authorization hold and tourist tax. What is this seemingly random $100 charge you speak of? Well, when you book a room at a Disney resort, you might just see a $100 hold on your credit card on top of what you already owe for the room, along with any other outstanding expenses. This $100 hold is for incidentals, so basically anything you'd buy and charge to your room that you haven't already paid for ahead of time. Think of this like a deposit you'd put down for an event space. If you don't charge anything to your room, you'll get the $100 back after your stay. But let's talk about one more extra hotel cost you might not be expecting on that folio that's unfortunately not refundable. According to the Disney World website, Disney World resorts are subject to an additional tourism tax that applies to Orlando area hotels. Because Disney World property covers two different counties, both Osceola and Orange, you can expect to pay two different tourist tax fees depending on where you stay. The majority of Disney's resorts are located in Orange County, which has a 12.5% tax rate. But the few resorts that are located in Osceola County, each of the Value All-Star resorts, will have a 13.5% tax rate instead. So how much are these taxes actually adding to your overall resort bill? Let's break that down. Let's say you're staying at Disney's Art of Animation for $284 per night. The Orange County accommodation tax is going to add an extra $1.42 per night of your stay. The Orange County Tourist Development Tax is going to add $17.04 per night of your stay. And last but not least, the Florida State Accommodation Tax will tack on $15.24 per night for your stay. Therefore, you're actually looking at paying around an extra $34 per night on top of what you're already paying for your room. The big takeaway here, don't assume that the price you initially see for a hotel room is what you're going to need to pay for said room. Taxes are a bummer, man, but it's always a good idea in general to have safety net money saved back for your trips so you don't have to be thrown off by the extra sneaky expenses. Also, remember to give yourself plenty of time to save for these expenses too. If you're just booking a hotel room with no vacation package attached, you'll only need to initially pay for the deposit of your room, which will be the cost of a first night stay. You won't need to pay for the remainder of your stay until you arrive at the resort for your vacation. So if you book your room well before your trip, you got plenty of time to save and prepare. For vacation packages, including your hotel stay and park tickets at a bundled cost, the deposit you put down is subject to change, but you still won't have to pay the entire amount of your package upon initial checkout. Instead, you'll have the option to make payments at your own speed. Just as long as you got your package paid for 30 days before your arrival, you can pay for however much or however little you need to at a time. Okay, so did you know about all of those potential expenses? I talk about this stuff all the time and I still forget about a lot of them, so hopefully this has been helpful. Definitely budget a little bit more cash to get you through your trip for all of these unexpected things, and hopefully none of them will happen to you. But remember, if you're looking for a free way to keep track of all your Disney World vacation plans, head over to disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyPlans now and pick up our Disney World planning worksheets. Again, it's totally free. This is not a hidden expense at all. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.